G'day guys and welcome. My name is Michael and I am the DeadAussieGamer, here to share with you my tips, tricks, ideas and strategies for playing and running tabletop role-playing games. Today we're back with another GM advice video on balancing your game. Now, in a role-playing game, the idea of balance is about finding an equilibrium, whether that's you as a player, whether you as a GM trying to level out the mechanics. This equilibrium is something that I think is sought after by everyone who plays. This being said, I don't think it works all the time. There are going to be scenarios where balance is super important. Trying to find that nice medium center line is crucial to certain aspects of the game. At the same time, in order to have a great time and have fun, sometimes balance just needs to be put to the side, and we're going to be talking about that today. So, first of all, let's talk about putting balance in its place. Where do we need balance? As a player, it's important to understand that there needs to be a balance in the party dynamic. The amount of time you spend as the center of attention, for example, it's always a great idea to make sure that that is balanced. This is a scenario. We're playing a 2-hour game. There are four of us, right? Ideally, you want 4 people within the span of 2 hours to have at least half an hour of attention by the GM or by the game in the course of your session. Easy. This won't always happen, but it's something you should strive for. As a GM, something you might want to strive for is a balance in the pacing of your game. So you might want to do a little bit of narrative, a little bit of the major plot, a side quest to break things up, make it a bit versatile, a fight, a puzzle, a bit of role-playing. And then you want to cycle back around. Make sure that everything is balanced so that the people who enjoy fighting and the people who enjoy puzzles are all being taken care of during the course of your game. So these examples are where balance just works. It's something you need, it's something you should have, and it is something that I think is very important to making a good role-playing game. On the other hand, balance is about setting an equilibrium, but sometimes versatility comes from rending that balance apart, swinging things in one direction or another. For example, fighting a villain that is far stronger than your entire group. That is unbalanced. That is unfair. That also establishes in the narrative the importance or the strength of a particular NPC, which is important and what you need to do in your game. So in this case, balancing isn't about, trying to find the equal, it's about trying to find the difference and making that the feature. Some great examples of where this is important. First of all, classes. A lot of people think that because games are very mechanical and because there are very outlying rules, that of course when these rules are set, they are balanced perfectly. This is a fallacy. Publishers for games, Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, Shadowrun, Legend of the Five Rings, whatever, they are still human. The people who write them, the people who design games. And as much as they'd like to try to, they can only account for so much of human creativity when it comes to playing their characters and making up these classes and how their mechanics work. There are always going to be people who are just damn smart and will counteract or figure out ways to just utterly blow the power scale out of proportion. But this should not scare you as a GM. It should actually be something you embrace. The differences between your most powerful and your least powerful characters give you, the GM, an idea of what needs attention in your game in order to try and compensate for it. If I'm playing with a power gamer, I know that they are having fun in their own way. They're having fun trying out their build, they're following a particular strategy, and it's very easy to accommodate that. My challenge isn't dealing with Mr. Power Gamer. And I know a lot of GMs like to nerf power gamers, but, hear me out. Rather than doing that, what I prefer to do is I prefer to look at the other person, who may or may not be comparing themselves to the power gamer. Oh, I like role-playing, but Jared, he likes power building, and, I'm a melee fighter too, but Jared, he's a wizard, and he keeps transforming into a troll and murdering everyone. I just don't feel like I'm doing my role as a fighter. These problems, these kind of issues, are created by that imbalance. And it's not about swinging the balance back, because then what happens is if you swing it back that way, then the power builder goes, well, why does he get all this free stuff and I get nothing? Yeah, if I'm powerful, it's because I built it that way and I'm playing it that way. It should have nothing to do with him getting a free handout because, yeah, this argument is quite commonplace. So instead, what I like to do is I like to add encouragement to my games by letting my players understand that imbalance is always going to be a thing, but you will always have the opportunity to swing those scales in your favor if you follow my 3 basic requirements for every game. Good roleplay, good narrative, good teamwork. Now, if you roleplay your character and you kind of get into the character, get into the voice, make sure that everything sounds perfect, describe your actions, you swing your sword, the blade rings through the air as it swats through the enemy's flesh, bleeding, etc. If you are talking about narrative, it's about how engaged you are in the story that I'm running. If I'm running this story about trying to find ancient artifacts and your character is Indiana Jones, fantastic. Don't just roll numbers at me. Tell me about this. How are you invested? What have you found out? What research are you doing? Are you keeping a journal? What notes are you making? Going above and beyond in those cases. And of course, the third is, what did I say? Narrative, story, roleplay, and... Geez, I forgot my third thing. What the hell? Roleplay, narrative, and teamwork. Teamwork, that's the one. Teamwork's so important because if you get that third one, if you get the teamwork in, rather than comparing yourself to the other people, rather than comparing what you're capable of to the people around you, you then start to try and boost each other up. You start to bolster each other and do more than any of your individual characters could achieve. Those 3 things help, in my mind, unbalance the game, but make it fun for everyone involved. Trying to play this game where you are pitted up against your players, trying to make it so that either the more powerful people are brought down or that you make bigger monsters so that you can deal with them. This is what we call the arms race. Now, I may have spoken about the arms race in a previous video, but what it essentially is a player builds a very powerful character, one more powerful than they should be. You as a GM modify, change, add to an encounter to make the encounter more challenging for that player. That player then goes, wow, that encounter was challenging. I'm going to make my character more powerful. Ergo, you create a bigger monster, they create a better character, you create a bigger monster, so on and so forth on top of each other in a long and tiring RPG arms race. So you want to try and avoid that. And those 3 ways, easiest ways. Good roleplay, good narrative, good teamwork, and then reward them. Reward them with something that is just yours, something that is not in the rules, something that is not made or designed with pure balance in mind. I had a scenario once upon a time where my player said, look, here is my story, this is my background, I'm a noble woman, my father had a secret, I don't know what that secret was, blah, 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 blah. I came up with the opportunity to enhance this player's experience. She was playing a bard in 3.5, which is very lackluster, but, and I gave her what was effectively an elder brother NPC. This elder brother NPC advised her that her parents had perished and that she had now got access to the family's, network of information. What this meant was, very Inspector Gadget style, if she wanted to, once per day, one of the agents would, regardless of where she was, find her and give her a +10 on a knowledge check of her choice, which she could make untrained. This simple gift for her roleplay and for her narrative then encouraged her to start doing stuff like that. And then even when these people kept showing up out of nowhere, like there could be a bush and all of a sudden this guy pops up and goes, a message for you, madam. Then she'd start talking with this guy and build up a rapport. And that's the important bit. So the idea that all RPGs need to be balanced is, for me, not entirely true. Sure, balance out the pace of your game. Make sure that everyone is having a fair chance in the game. But don't get tied into the rules and making sure that every single rule happens to be balanced. At the worst case scenario, absolute worst scenario, is if something is being abused, and I mean abused, then you as a GM have every right to turn around to that player and says, it's fine for today, but we're going to change this because this is not working. Make it clear, obviously, in Game 0 if you are going to do stuff like that, but I mean, I do all the time. I tell my players, look, if you want something like this is a great build, but depending on how it goes, I may disallow it because you are abusing it, or you are abusing this particular reason, or I've given you a special power, we may modify it because, again, depending on how you use it. I don't do it often because most of my players by that stage understand that there is a level of trust and that there is a level of allowances that I will make for my game. For example, if you have made a very powerful character, I will not necessarily raise every encounter to try and match you. Sometimes I will let the players just obliterate an encounter just because, well, you're all super powerful. You've all built really well. You've worked together as a team really well. Absolutely wipe out this tribe of goblins. There's going to be no resistance. In fact, you guys take us through the cinematic encounter of you guys rampaging through these goblins. And they'll have a ton of fun. And that's the important key thing here. Alright guys, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leave a message in chat and tell us about the balances or imbalances that you've experienced in your game. Of course, go and check us out on all of our other social medias, links in the description below. And go and, if you want to, give us some support on the Patreon page at patreon.com/DeadAussieGamer. And for as little as $2 a month, you can help us keep the lights on and keep making more and more videos. Thank you so much, guys. Until next time, as always, game hard or die trying. See yas. I'm not leaving, apparently. Nope, doesn't want to leave. Doesn't want to stop.